Good evening. It is I have the mic on. It's 7:30. Oh, sorry. 7:31. Welcome. We'll do the pledge and we'll start our Wednesday meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, with liberty and justice.
Trustee Fritchie.
Present.
Trustee White.
Present.
Trustee Yost.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lopez.
Present.
And Mayor Levin.
Present.
We're going to have hearings in the matter of snow and ice assessment hearings. The first one is for Piping Rock Road, one Piping Rock Road. Is there anyone here that is here to talk about that in the room?
May I give just a little
Oh, I
background?
apologize. Yeah.
Just a little background for the board.
Sure.
We have 1, 2, 3, 7 hearings. There are only 6 listed, but there's another for 11B Piping Rock, for which there's a resolution. These are all snow and ice assessment hearings. Basically, these locations, snow and ice was not cleared from the sidewalk in a timely manner. The village then directed to have its contractor do the snow and ice removal. There was an invoice issued, a 20% administrative fee, and tonight are the hearings with regard to those snow and ice assessments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. First one is one Piping Rock Road. Is there anyone virtually that would like to comment on, on our public hearing for on one Piping Rock Road? Drive, excuse me, one Piping Rock Drive. No one? Do I have a motion to close? Can I do them all as one or?
I would do them each one as a separate
Okay.
one, please.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on one Piping Rock Road snow and ice assessment hearing?
So moved. Second.
Any comments from the board?
All in favor?
Aye.
8 Piping Rock Drive. Is there anyone in our virtual world that would like to speak on 8 Piping Rock Drive in the public hearing? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11 Piping Rock Drive. Is there anyone in our virtual world that wishes to speak on 11 Piping Rock Drive? Okay. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11A Piping Rock Drive. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on 11A Piping Rock Drive? Anyone in the virtual world? All right, do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11B Piping Rock
Oh,
Drive.
is it 11B also? Okay.
Yes, yeah, it was just, it was accidentally not put there.
Yeah.
It's in the agenda though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got a certified letters thing. So,
First of all, if,
Name and address.
sorry.
let me
Anthony-
just let me just put in context for you.
Mhm.
Your name and where you live, if you don't mind. And how many minutes does he
It's a
have?
public hearing.
Oh, so it's as much, okay. So,
I'll start
please.
filibustering. I'm Anthony Gomez. I live at
Filibuster.
11 Trust me, I want to get home and have dinner. I live at 11B Piping Rock Drive. So I received the letter for snow clearance. When we purchased the property 4 years ago, I guess 5 years ago, we were told our property line does not extend far enough that we would be responsible for the road. And like I have, I guess a picture of one of our surveys that says that there's a retaining wall and our property extends just to that retaining wall. And then there's no man's land. And then there's the sidewalk and then there's the street. So we don't even own property that is adjacent to the sidewalk. And we are up on Piping Rock Drive. This is all down on 9A. So we've never maintained it. We are not going to start maintaining it. So we don't think that we're responsible for any snow removal there.
okay, thank you. And I didn't catch your name, I'm sorry.
Anthony Gomez.
Anthony Gomez. Great. Stuart, can you comment on this particular property?
Other than the work was done and that under the code, it is basically any sidewalks that are adjacent to the property are the responsibility of that property owner. That's what 229(6) of the code
That's what the
says.
code said. I mean, so I think there are two things that are going to happen here. I don't know if so we listen to people, we don't actually have conversations. This is sort of a rare occasion because it snowed recently. It hasn't snowed in years. So for us, we don't do a lot of these, to be honest with you. The code is usually pretty specific in the E-code system. People are responsible for the sidewalks in front and adjacent to their properties, whether there's no such actually thing as a no man's land, by the way. There's like your property that you own and then the curb that people are responsible for. And when people are nice, they also do the fire hydrants if there happens to be one. They don't have to, but it's nice if they do. So Stuart, I don't know if the board has enough information to comment. It's sort of, I understand your point, but I don't have anything to look at per se.
Why don't I, if I
So
can make
why
the
don't we take
request
this
to the board,
somewhere?
can we table this? There is another scheduled in 2 weeks for another parcel on the same street. If Mr. Gomez wants to get in touch with me during the week, he can, and I'll be happy to go over it with him, and then I can report back to the board. with regard
So
to this parcel.
I hear certain words, so I just want to be very clear. We get lots of people that say we were told. Normally, realtors tell people things, the bank doesn't really matter because realtors
Yeah.
say whatever they want. Realtors say lots of stuff to folks. So I don't know who told you what they said, but what I do know is that if you go to the Corporation Counsel, even if you don't want to go in person, you could do it by Zoom, whatever, he can actually have somebody look at the property and actually explain and look at it. If they deem that it is something you're responsible for, it doesn't matter whether you want to or not, you will be responsible. If they look at it and go, oh, you know what, there's an issue here, it's not so clear. The goal here is not to be punitive. That's not the goal of this board. It's
Goal's
not the
safety.
goal of our corporation council or anybody else that works in the village. That's not their goal. Their goal is to do the right thing. So let's see if you could take it offline. Maybe you guys could figure out and see what's what. And as the corporation council said, there's something in 2 weeks again. You can come and if you don't want to come, you can actually just speak to Stuart Kahan and see where this lies. Okay?
Okay.
Great.
I also just want to say that 11, so 11, 11, 11A, 11B, and 11C is all one parcel, or was initially one parcel that was developed on. And I've talked with the owners at 11A who've been here, closer to 10 years. And they've spoken with an attorney about this exact issue. I believe they tried to build them some time ago before we moved in, and they did not have to pay. So I believe this has already been settled once before, but I'm happy
Okay, so
to
you'll,
try to settle it again.
again.
Yeah.
There's usually records. If there isn't, the corporation council will look through it and there'll be some decision made.
Where is that contact information?
I will, it's on the village's webpage. If you look at, it'll be there.
Okay.
And I'll be able to get in touch with you anyway, and we can work it out.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
The name of the corporation council is Stuart Kahan, and it's on the website.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Our
coming.
pleasure. Thank you for coming in.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on 11B Piping Rock Drive?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
136 to 140 Croton Avenue. Is there anyone in the virtual land that would like to speak on that? Okay, 136 to 140. Do I have a motion to close that public hearing?
I just have a question. Is that one property, 136
It's
dash?
the-
Yes, that's the old nursery.
Nursery.
Oh, so is that where the construction is going to be going on?
Yeah.
Did you call Mr. Apicella and tell him to clean up the place?
Been notified.
Been notified?
He
Oh,
was given a violation, yes.
okay.
Second.
Who second? I apologize. Who second? Oh, thank you.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 325 North Highland Avenue. Is there anyone in our virtual world that wishes to speak on 325 North Highland Avenue? No? Okay, do I have a motion to close that public
So
hearing?
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And now we'll have mayor and trustees announcements.
Okay, we have probably a couple, so let me start to my right this time. Dana, do you have any announcements or deputy mayor?
Yes, so tonight we have one of a number of events that are specifically focused on attracting folks to apply for the police department. Tonight's event was at the library, and there was a great turnout. We had a great mix of our police department that were there, officers, leadership. There was an intern that was there. We had lots of folks, and as a result, the public came in and they were able to get a lot of their questions answered. So tomorrow there's going to be an event at the library with the Youth Bureau as well. This is incredibly important because of the very strange way that the civil service process works. We get told as a village with very little notice when the window opens up. The window opens up for a varying amount of time. This time, it's a matter of weeks that you have to prepare to take this particular test. You then take the test and you get on a list. The list then closes for 4 years, and then the cycle repeats. So we're trying to get as many people as possible to take the test. Maybe it's something you're ready to do right now. Maybe it's going to be in a couple of years. Take the test now so that we can find some great new officers from right here in Ossining.
Great. Thank you. I'm sure the chief will also speak to it. We are pushing really hard to home grow staff for municipalities. Years ago, I personally realized that while everybody gets pushed to go to college and people get pushed into all sorts of things, there's so little effort being made on civil service work, and it's very hard to figure out how the system works. And they're great jobs for people who want those kind of jobs. There are benefits, and there's a municipality everywhere in this country, wherever you move to. And they're great jobs for people of all ages and all backgrounds. And so we are really trying to encourage people, from 18 years or really 17 and a half up, people looking for career changes, et cetera, we're almost begging people to come in and apply for those jobs. We have a fire department also continuously looks for a volunteer, reminding people that in some cities like New York, they're paying jobs, very high paying jobs. They're not just volunteer, and you start here. So we want to encourage, if you have friends, kids, grandkids, godchildren, neighbors, whatever, please push that storyline out so that people who are looking for work will be able to apply to these kind of jobs. Is there anything else? Bob? That? Anybody? Okay, great. I'm going to make a quick comment for those of you who are following the state penitentiary system, where there's some staffing issues, and there's been a death that has occurred that has evolved into some walkouts, et cetera, et cetera. While we don't directly have anything to do with the Sing Sing prison, it belongs to the state. In anticipation of possible walkouts, not that that's what's happening, but in anticipation of some issues, the governor activated National Guard across the state, not specific to Ossining. If you see some activity around Sing Sing, that's what that activity is about. You might see in social media. Don't call me. Call the governor. Sing Sing is a part of our history, but it is not under the authority of the board and mayor or the village manager or the police here. So call the governor's office if you have questions. I think we're done with all of that, and we are now moving on to the rest of the meeting.
Administrative reports, Village Manager Karen Dottori.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. So just a little update. I think I mentioned this last time, but it bears repeating. We have received assurance from the state that all appropriated grant funding is secure, and it appears that this is also the case for federal grant funding that has been allocated for the Route 9 road diet, as well as for the 2019 to 2024 round of community development block grant funding. And in today's news, County Executive Ken Jenkins was the guest speaker at the Municipal Administrators Association meeting. And this meeting was an opportunity for the new county executive to speak about intergovernmental relationships and the county's bipartisan commitment to servicing Westchester residents. So it's good to see the county executive and nice to know that we have somebody to call who's very committed to making sure that all Westchester communities thrive. On Saturday, Town Supervisor Feldman and I were in in Mount Vernon for the launch of the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program that has been implemented under the direction of the Westchester Putnam Workforce Development Board for the past 21 years. And during this time, hundreds of people have volunteered their time and expertise to help low and moderate income individuals and families file their taxes for free. So this is a program that Ossining has also been doing for almost 21 years. And for most of that time, Ossining High School students have been a large part of this program, volunteering to prepare income tax returns for people, their parents and others. They learn skills, valuable skills through the high school. And this year, through the Ossining Youth Bureau, 15 students have signed up to be VITA volunteers, the largest group of volunteers from any one community this year. And they, along with youth throughout the county,
Little
were
applause,
recognized.
people.
Very, very, very good program with certificates of award this Saturday. And this program is really an invaluable program. It provides free service that has helped with the return of tens of thousands of dollars, probably hundreds of thousands over the past 20 years for taxpayers. And we are particularly proud of the young people in our community who make this possible. And I do also want to mention that Maddie and I also did stop by the library to see if we could be recruited, but they weren't taking us. They said we had to stay in our current jobs. But it was really good to see such a good turnout and such a great opportunity for people to be able to engage in the civil service application process, which is can be a bit challenging if you're not familiar with it. But a lot of, as the deputy mayor said, a lot of people were on hand, and I just want to thank the chief for facilitating this program and doing it in conjunction with the Youth Bureau. So thank you.
Great. The tax program is fantastic. First of all, most of us don't even understand taxation until we're like, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s. Like when we realize, oh, we have to like buy things and own things and, and we make enough money that it matters. And it's like, it's great. It's better than learning math as far as I'm concerned. And also the fact that they're kids. It goes on their resumes. So be on the lookout every year for this program and encourage more people to, especially the youth, to do this and understand finances. It's a big deal. So we're very excited. I didn't know we had the largest turnout from our community, so I'm excited about that. And I think now we're having presentation, yes?
Yes,
Great.
next up is a special presentation of, for the Landlord Tenant Relations Council. And I'd like to introduce the chair of this committee, Felicia Marquette.
Hi, thank
Hi,
you
how are
so
you?
much. I'm good. Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everybody. Good to see everyone again. Just here to report on last year, Landlord Tenant Relations Council. I just want to take the opportunity to first, again, thank you for the opportunity to serve as the chair of the Landlord Tenant Relations Council. I am Felicia Marquis, a resident in Ossining, and it's been my honor to do this role over the past year. Since joining the council 2 years ago, I've had a privilege of engaging with our community and witnessing firsthand the positive impact of the work that we do. The Landlord Tenant Relations Council plays a crucial role in mediating issues between landlords and tenants. We work hard to resolve disputes before they escalate into legal challenges. I mentioned this last year, and I just wanted to raise it. I think it's an important point that remains just as relevant as relevant today. I wanted to highlight again because it directly relates to our work on the council. During an intake last year, I had a chance to speak with an attorney who, after learning about the council's volunteer-based mediation-focused approach, she expressed her admiration for what we do. And that just for our council was just a big, I think, leap for us. This endorsement truly speaks to this success and lasting impact of our efforts. I also want to share another example of how the council has made a tangible difference in the lives of our community members. Last year, the council mediated on behalf of tenants facing rent hikes as high as $900. Or the threat of non-renewal of leases, which would have forced them to find new housing. This multi-unit buildings were covered under the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, which capped rent increases. Without reaching out to the Landlord and Tenant Relations Council, the tenants would have not known about this vital protection. So we were able to help families stay in their home. And Jamie, if you want to go ahead, I'll go over the presentation. So, let's see here. In addition to these individual stories, also I wanted to show, I'm sorry, I think I'm a little bit off. In
That's good.
addition to
Take your
these-
time.
Yeah, thank you.
You're not getting graded. It's okay.
Well, these are important stats. In addition to these stories, we're seeing a rise in volume of cases we handle. In 2024, we managed 40 intake cases, nearly 50% increase from the previous year. Of those, 60% involved rent increases and lease renewals, while 20% focused on habitability concerns. It's worth noting that 75% of the cases came from multi-unit buildings with 11 or more units, highlighting the growing need for mediation services, especially in a large residential communities.
You just have to say Jamie next.
Yeah, Jamie. Well, this is
Okay.
just going over what I highlighted here. But I just want to go ahead and look forward to we anticipate continued with rent hike rates going up. Will continue to drive demand for our services. And increasing need for a Spanish translation service to ensure we are accessible to all members of our community. So these are kind of the trends that we're looking at and have seen before with continuing. With that in mind, I am respectfully requesting budget allocations for $3,000 for this year. This would cover mediation training expenses, which range between $900 to $1,300 for a 40-hour certified course. It also would fund qualified translator, ensuring we can continue to offer accessible services to all tenants and landlords in need. We also are looking for 2 more volunteers as well, one on the tenant side and one on the landlord side. So we need to kind of get that moving. Great. And I just want to, in closing, I just want to say that I'm proud of what we've accomplished this year. And I'm excited to continue working with you to support the strengthen the Landlord-Tenant Relations Council relationships in Ossining.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions?
Yes, we always have questions. No, not to worry. I'm just going to start from my left this time and then go to the right, and I usually go last, so. And thank you for the presentation. Super helpful, super informative, and
Good.
as always, for the volunteer work that you and everybody else is doing on that.
Oh,
Sir?
I don't have any questions, but thank you for a job well done.
Thank you.
Carry on.
And thanks. Thank you very much. The only question I have is of the 40, were all of those resolved or?
Oh, yes, I apologize. Yes, they were resolved in 2024. So we're looking forward to 2025 at this point. I have a few intakes already for this year, but yes, all were resolved last year.
Great. Dana? Dana has intimate knowledge.
I do. Not yet. Well, I'm pleased to, I think, be the new liaison to your group.
That's what I
So,
meant.
yeah.
You will have intimate. knowledge.
but I was wondering, do you have monthly meetings like other committees, or how do you work?
Yes, we do have monthly meetings, usually the first Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
And usually
The
the
evening,
chair, I
6
think.
PM and to join, 6 PM
Six.
first Wednesday every month.
Okay.
And usually the chair gets the information first, right through,
Yes.
and you go through them.
Yes, so as far as as far as how it works, we get an intake coming in from tenant or landlord, and that gets passed down to me, and then we send it out or assign it to council members or myself will take it, and so then they run with it.
And is the mediation training required?
I don't, it's not required. I believe if someone wants to do it, I think that we could have it there to offer. But it is not
Well, it
required.
is a skill.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
everybody's good
skill.
at it.
Right.
You have to be diplomatic and patient. And
True. So it's a request if someone would like to step up to take the course.
I should take it. Well, I support your request for a budget for training and especially for Spanish translation. Would that be translation services when you meet with people during intake or?
If they needed, yes, that would be if we if there was a reason that we needed to have a translator, it would be set up a suppose through the village. We might also and have a meeting spot at 16 Croton Avenue if we needed that as well. And I understand that there might be translator that we could use. So something of, I don't know if it'd be like a credit or a voucher that we could pay that someone that does the translating for us.
Well, I look forward to getting to learn more about how you guys do what you do because it is so important. And you
Yes.
really do. It is really, affecting people's lives and where
And-
they live. So
yeah.
thank you.
If I could just do a footnote on that. So Stuart, we looked at mediation in a bigger way at one point. I don't know where we ever ended up with that and how would this be different? We had once at one point we discussed, sending everybody to courses and then maybe offloading it from the court system, but it really didn't sort of take off. How is this maybe different, better or worse, or just
I think if
something
it-
good to do?
If it's offered, if individual members would like to do it, 40-hour training, excellent training, because I've done it myself. And it's well worthwhile. I think there's a line in the budget. I think it's been there for a couple of years that relates specifically to that. I see the assistant village manager nodding
He's
her
getting
head.
ready to
Stealing-
jump
stealing
on the
your
mic
thunder?
there. You came to the right place.
I did.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Felicia. Yes, so I actually just checked. We did it a little bit differently this year. So now the LTRC actually has their own line
Yeah.
in the budget that it's your own department, basically, even though there's only really one line right now. There's $1,800 in there right now that's earmarked for training. I understand that the request is for $3,000, but we can,
We'll
if
find
the
it.
board is aligned, we can make a budget adjustment.
Excellent. Thank you.
I would just add, again, as a footnote, I think we actually put it in knowing the court uses translators. They also have a phone service for 102 languages because they get all sorts of languages coming in here. Might be able to do that. They literally get on the phones. A human gets on the other side and they translate. Everything has a cost, but still, it's
Could utilize
available
that.
in the village. This is
Okay.
not some crazy thing that. And the village staff also, we have very diverse staff that we can, I'm sure, connect with. It's not just Spanish. You may have somebody come Mandarin, Arabic, whatever, right? You
Right.
have different people, so we want to focus on the demographics, but while we're doing it, why not go wider? So I'm sure there's support for that. You should know that we do the budgets, so just like make a little note for yourself. Somewhere around September, just call the village manager and say, we need X, so that they actually put it right in the budget at the right amount. I mean, there's no issue here. It's just
Okay.
an FYI,
The
going
request should come
forward,
in
just
September.
there's something that comes up, the good time to ask would be September, so they can actually put it into the budget, and then you don't even have to stand here and ask for it.
Makes sense.
But we
That makes
appreciate you doing it. Sir?
Thank you. Thanks for coming in, Felicia.
Welcome.
So I have two questions. One is, in the range of cases that you look at, to what extent are you supporting folks that are in housing situations where there may not be a lease, where it's a little bit fuzzier than kind of traditional situation?
Well, I can speak to the presentation on, I think on that question, if I'm understanding correctly. We do have like unit types as far as how we, when an intake comes in, if it's from a larger building or maybe just like a small multifamily, house with, maybe 2 to 3 units in it. And we have had requests or intakes from smaller multifamilies, and we do help them. Like we would reach out to the landlord, or the landlord, if we're reaching out on for the tenant, having contact the tenant for any sort of type of issue. But we do reach out to them, and can help, mediate between landlord and tenant, no matter, the size of the building or the home. Is that my answer?
That is helpful
correct?
because
Yeah.
sometimes what I've seen are cases in the village where you may have kind of a building manager that is the one that interfaces with the residents,
Yes.
but they are not the owners or the landlords. And so if the tenants have a challenge, they may go to that person, but that's not the right person. And so it's helpful to know that they can go to you to get additional information.
That's correct. It is helpful, even if there is a management company that is managing the building for the landlord, yes, they can come to us, and we also would go to the management company, but we could go a bit further if we needed to get to the owner of the building. And we've done that before. Had to do that before.
Yeah, appreciate that. And then the second question is, if whether it's now or just planting the seed for the future, if there are trends that you notice about what's causing issues to happen. So you may say, hey, a lot of the issues have to do with rent increases or different things, but you may see other kinds of trends, particularly ones that we may be able to address in one way or another. It'd be really helpful. Take note of those as well.
Sure, definitely. And we do take note of some trends. And I think last year, when I met with everyone, we were were thinking that rent increases at that time, in early 2024 would be an issue, and they actually ended up being quite a big issue for that year. So we will continue to look for trends that maybe we could work and help in Ossining.
Thank you.
Great. So are you enjoying the chair
Yes.
personship?
Yes, I am. Steve Dewey was the chair before
For a long time.
and for
Yeah.
a very long time, and he's very helpful. Yes,
Great.
taking over from him has been great. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Well, we appreciate it. I mean, when we appoint people, always nervous, it's sort of a lot of work for volunteers. So, and it's real stuff, people's lives.
Yes,
So,
yeah. This
um,
is real stuff, and it is important, as we discussed before. Like this is people's homes.
Their life, really, and their children, and multi-generational in some cases. So appreciate that. And Trustee White had mentioned it, and I appreciate everything you do. So thank you. We actually, so because you're chair, we're making a little bit of shift as mayor, and we'll put this in the record of Sue as well. We are making a shift. I am going to be appointing Pat Yost to be the liaison to EAC, and Dana White will be the liaison to the Landlord Tenant Relations Council.
Okay. Yes.
Right
So-
there. We're we're just doing a switch for liaisons because these are appointed by the board, and appreciate time. So
Need
you
two
will
more
be having
volunteers.
Dana White at your meetings, and you have an attorney with you. There is
We have 2 attorneys with us right now. That's very helpful. Oh, 3. To help us out
Stewart as well.
time to
Yes,
time,
good.
yeah.
Because that was when we re-engineered this committee a few years ago. We're a community that's had this committee since the mid-'80s, but it really wasn't very active and wasn't very present until a few years ago. It was re-engineered. I was very happy to be part of that reengineering, and I'm very excited that it's really working for the benefit of individuals, residences, landlords as well.
Landlords as well
Yeah,
can
people
reach
don't
out, yeah.
realize that this is not anti-landlord.
No,
This is
no.
actually called the landlord tenant, because the whole idea is that also landlords can come and sort of get advice. They can go to attorneys, which many of them do, but I think that there are many landlords who do actually try to use you folks to come to some sort of agreements with tenants.
Right, before any legal action
Exactly.
has to go on.
Great.
That actually, one more quick note, if that's all right. I just wanted to point out that, if in getting the word out that we're here to help, I don't know if it would be something that we could put out in the weekly update sometimes.
So every
that
year,
would- or do the-
with
does it already
Jamie's
happen?
help, they do a highlight of the 13 committees,
Oh, you do?
either one
Okay,
or
I'm
two
sorry,
at
I
a
missed that.
time, and we get it out there.
Excellent.
It'll go for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I try to, mention what they do, and if we're looking for someone, we're just not there right now, but I will be doing that.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. But if you have anything else, just through your liaison, through Stuart, the goal here is to make people's lives better. And, so let's do that. That's great.
Excellent.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your support in this committee. I really appreciate it. We all do. And I also want to thank the other committee members that, are working with us to mediate and get issues through solved.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
evening.
night. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the exciting meeting, but not required.
Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening, folks, and thank you, Felicia. Today, the village clerk convened a meeting of the tow truck operators.
Ah,
We had all but one. Lieutenant Mayorana was there. Actually, a very good discussion.
It
Went over a
was.
large number of
Everyone was
of
very
issues,
professional.
and they came well prepared, had some questions, and we have some answers to come back to them with. Tomorrow, we will be meeting with a much larger group, which are the taxi operators.
And then I'm going.
Uh, Village clerk can tell you March will be a very busy month
Yep.
as we deal with all that, but those were two meetings that were held. From the Corporation Council's end, we've been reviewing, or I've been reviewing contracts. Most recently, the roof replacement contracts for this building, roof replacement contract for the community center, both just about ready to be finalized, so they can go out for bid. And then we have the elevator modernization contract for this building, which was reviewed by me and is now undergoing re-review over at DPW. Thank you.
Stuart, I think we had talked about briefly through email about the Verizon cable. You said you were going to mention something today, or am
We
I
are.
mistaken?
No, we are in discussions with Verizon. Their 15-year agreement has expired. I had a meeting with Verizon's counsel, both House counsel and outside counsel, as well as with their government representative. Last week, I also had a conversation with their outside counsel last week to discuss it. The agreement is similar to the agreement that the village had before. It is for a shorter term. Verizon, like most cable operators, is seeing a significant drop in subscribers, which is resulting in a drop in income to the village. So they're just so the board is aware, one of the aspects of the funds that the village gets is the PEG, the PEG money that we get. That has been tied to subscribers, but those numbers, both from that as well as franchise fees, have since 2017, it has been a straight downward curve, straight downward line. And I think it's from, and we're seeing it both from Verizon and from Cablevision or Altice, which is its now the current name, more from Altice because there are more subscribers for Altice. But I hope to be able to come to the board. Actually, I hope in March to have the outside counsel for Verizon here at a meeting, just go over the terms of the agreement. Then pursuant to law, we have to have a noticed public hearing with regard to renewal of the franchise. And then we would be able to sign the renewal of the franchise with Verizon. Next after that would come the renewal of the franchise agreement with Altice.
Great. Thank you. Chief?
Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Good evening. Just to piggyback on what Deputy Mayor Lopez said earlier about the outreach program, tomorrow night is another chance to come to the library and familiarize yourself with the police department, some of its members, and the process of becoming a police officer, either here or anywhere else in Westchester County. To that note, just a couple of things that I've mentioned before, but just to go over it again, because time is kind of the essence here, literally. You talked about that window opening and closing, and it's kind of fitting that it's February and that window is open just enough to let enough cold air in before you want to shut it. The last date to file for that test is February 24th.
Wow.
So that is next week. So that it is rapidly approaching. So if you have not done that yet and you like to, please do so before the 24th, or that window will be shut. The exam date again is on May 3rd or May 4th. Due to the volume of the people taking this test, it's offered on 2 dates, and the county assigns that date. I don't know if you can request a change of date if you have some kind of a conflict. I'm sure the county can make an exception or consideration for that, but you'd have to take that up with them. But just due to the sheer volume of it, the test is given over 2 days. It's not a 2-day test, but it's given on 2 separate dates. Just in case you are not familiar with it, but it is, all the information is on the application itself, but you don't need any college to take this test. You don't need any college courses or college credits. All you need is a high school diploma or a GED. And that is at the time that you take the test. Some of these qualifications are time of test and some are time of appointment. You need to have that GED or graduated high school by the time you take the test. You must have a valid New York State driver's license at the time of appointment. So you don't need a license to take the test, but you need a license when you are appointed. You do not need to be a citizen to take the test, but you need to be a citizen at the time of appointment. So anybody may think they're in limbo or worried about that, go take the test. Doesn't hurt. Also, the minimum age to get hired or to be appointed is 20 years old. If you're in high school or just out of high school and you're 18, 19, and you're not 20 yet, you can still take the test. You have to be 20 or you're appointed as a police officer, not to take the exam. Also, the maximum age is 35 right now, take the exam, not to be appointed. So there are exemptions. You can follow up with those on the county website. I know there's like some military exemptions and things like that if you're deployed and serving the country, and your 35th birthday before you're able to take that test. That is one of the exemptions they make. I don't have all the exemptions on hand, but they are available through the county HR. Just some points of emphasis in case anyone just tuning in was wondering. And other than that, good job with the snow emergency. We towed less cars than last time. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Great. Good.
So
At some
us-
point, I'm sorry, so at some point, maybe you, maybe me, and, maybe Karen, there's a new human resource person in the county. Met her a couple of times. We really need to have this conversation. These windows that open and close, it's like the Wizard of Oz, as you described it. It's like if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
You gotta wait 4 years. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
it's,
maybe we can put our 2 cents in on, I know other municipalities are, and really try to widen that window, widen the lane, maybe shorten the 4-year term and get some folks into the system.
Yeah, and that's that short window is not mutually exclusive to the entrance exam. It's also the same for some promotional exams where you might only have 2 or 3 weeks to actually sign up to take a promotional exam, whether it be sergeant, lieutenant, captain, chief, anything like that. And I know it is a point of discussion amongst the the other chiefs in Westchester because it's not mutually exclusive to Ossining. You know, this is countywide. Anybody in Westchester County who
Sure.
wants to take this test. And every municipality is kind of going through the same thing where, you know, this is the wrong boat to miss.
Yeah,
You want to
Yeah.
get into this line of work because it is such a long period of time in between exams.
exactly. And that age, 4 years, there's many things happen to a person in those 4 years, and we might
Correct.
be missing out on some talent.
Yep.
Great, we'll have to follow up on that, see if we get anywhere with that. Okay. Sue.
Organizational announcements. Announcements may be event-related only, shall be no longer than 2 minutes in length. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on an organizational announcement? Seeing no one, we'll move on to public comment on agenda items. Visitors are accorded a 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any of the resolutions on the agenda. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on that? Would you come up and give your name and address and write it on that pad too?
Good evening. My name is David Loritan. I live at 184 Woodsbrook Circle here in the town of Ossining. I come to speak to the board tonight after volunteering with our immigrant community for more than 30 years in different capacities. A lot of that time was at St. Anne's Parish under the direction of Father Ed Byrne. I'm also here as a member of what we call the stakeholders of Neighbors Link. Very proud of the fact that my wife and I and another couple helped to bring Neighbors Link here to Ossining to bring extra services to the community, the immigrant community, through their lawyers. They now have 10 lawyers and 10 paralegals. Through our education programs, ESL programs, tutoring that we do, and so many other services that are necessary, that are helpful to the community. I come to speak in favor of the resolution that you have presented here tonight. The mayor and the chief spoke at Ossining High School a couple of weeks ago, and they made it very clear as to the policy of this board. And a number of us who were in attendance were very pleased to see that. Because one of the things, I'm a tutor, my wife's a tutor. We teach a couple of times a week. And what's palpable is there is fear in the community. The number of students that we had when we opened this year was much higher. We didn't have enough tutors. That has diminished, not completely. On Friday mornings when we have students, there are enough tutors to have one student to work with. An ideal situation, but it gives you an idea of just how things have changed. On a typical Monday or Wednesday night, I will have 3-4 students that I'm trying to teach, and you can imagine that to be quite a challenge. But there's fear, and they're quick to tell you that. So I just applaud this board for working on this resolution and providing it on behalf of the stakeholders of Neighbors Link. On behalf of Neighbors Link, we are truly proud to be able to see all that you have done here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in tonight. and sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate the feedback. Is there anybody else? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you for the chance to speak, and thank you for the chance to speak in support of the board's resolution. As a resident of the village, I think the resolution, the way it's written, reflects the values that I feel are very much a part of our community. The ICE raids that we have witnessed on the news appear to be very random, not well documented, and are structured in a way to instill incredible fear among people whose immigration status is in process. Our country needs a fair and equitable pathway to citizenship and for welcoming individuals and family into our country who are fleeing violence and direct political retribution. We should focus on finding solutions, not supporting militarization of worksite raids and racial profiling of individuals that are being characterized and portrayed as people who are criminals. So again, I hope that the board will approve the resolution, and I thank you for the work that you put into it.
Just tell us your name and address.
Sorry.
No.
Mary Ann Cerise, I live at 10 Glen Street in the village.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in and sharing your thoughts.
So is there anyone online? All right, there is a hand raised. Please bring them over.
Going to be bringing over the National Jobs for All Network. If you can on your camera.
We just want to remind you have a 4-minute limit.
Hi, hello. I'm Charles Bell. I'm actually resident of the town from 22 Ganong Drive. Have been a stakeholder for Neighbors Link for quite a number of years and strongly agree with what the other two speakers have said. I have been concerned that it's difficult with the current state of our immigration laws for people to have a viable path to citizenship, even after contributing in major ways to our local economy. And as a stakeholder, I feel like I've benefited significantly from the work of Neighbors Link, from both the services they provide in terms of language access and food, nutrition, housing, labor issues, and just really want to support their work. I don't feel comfortable as a neighbor here in Ossining having my neighbors and friends being afraid to apply for public services or being afraid to contact a law enforcement officer if they see a crime or a problem in the community. And so I feel that the resolution you have before you tonight is extremely well written and well thought through. And thank you so much for taking this up, and really urge that you approve the resolution and know that you have the support from many of us that live in or around the community. So thank you so much. Chuck Bell, 22 Ganong Drive, Ossining, New York.
Got that, Sue? Great. Thank you, sir. Again, appreciate your input this morning and your comments. Is there anyone else? We're good? Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving along, visitor recognition. Visitors shall be accorded a 1 3-minute opportunity to address the board on issues not relating to the agenda, but relevance to the common good of the village. Is there anyone here? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the resolutions. Village Board resolutions, approval of minutes, February 5th, 2025. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the February 5th, 2025 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
A voucher detail report. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 19th, 2025 in the amount of $823,057.93. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
And our illustrious Corporation Council will be doing the next agenda.
I'll read this,
Next item.
and I'll read this resolution in full. Resolution of the Village of Ossining regarding the treatment of individuals relating to their immigration or citizenship status. Whereas the Village of Ossining is a vibrant and diverse community that has been shaped by the contributions of immigrants throughout its history, with individuals from various cultural, ethnic, and linguistic backgrounds enriching the social, economic, and cultural fabric of our community. And whereas immigrants in Ossining contribute significantly to our local economy as business owners, workers, and consumers, and play vital roles in our schools, neighborhoods, and civic life. And whereas fostering trust and cooperation between local government, law enforcement, and all community members is essential to promoting public safety and the well-being of all residents. And whereas studies have shown that fear of immigration enforcement deters individuals from reporting crimes, seeking assistance, and accessing essential services, thereby undermining the safety and security of all community members. And whereas the Village of Ossining reaffirms its commitment to upholding the constitutional rights of all individuals, regardless of immigration or citizenship status, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining adopts the following policy to ensure the fair and equitable treatment of all individuals, regardless of immigration or citizenship status, and be it further resolved that the Ossining Police Department, OPD, is directed to adopt a revised policy fully consistent with the policy adopted by the Board of Trustees in this resolution. OPD shall ensure that all procedures, training, and enforcement practices align with the provisions set forth herein. Any future modifications to OPD policies regarding interactions with federal immigration authorities must be reported to the village board in accordance with Section 13 of this resolution. And be it further resolved, Section 1 definitions. Citizenship or immigration status, an individual's citizenship of the United States or any other country, and an individual's statutory or regulatory right to reside in or otherwise be present in the United States as determined under the Federal Immigration and Nationality Act. Federal immigration authorities, the agency or individual employed by or acting as an agent of the federal government and charged with enforcement of the civil provisions of the Immigration and Nationality Act, including but not limited to United States and Customs Enforcement, United States Customs and Border Protection, and United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Ossining Police Department are the sworn officers and civilian employees of the Ossining Police Department. Civilian immigration detainer hold a request. A request issued pursuant to 8 CFR, which is Code of Federal Regulations, Section 287.7, or any similar request by federal immigration authorities asking OPD to maintain custody of an individual currently in its custody beyond the time the individual would otherwise be eligible for release in order to facilitate the individual's transfer to federal immigration authorities, including the United States Department of Homeland Security, Form I-247A. Notification request. A request from federal immigration authorities to OPD asking to be informed of the release date, time, and/or location of an individual, including DHS Form I-247N. Transfer request. A request from federal immigration authorities to OPD asking for the transfer of an individual in custody of OPD to federal immigration authorities, including DHS Form I-247X. Judicial warrant. A warrant based on probable cause and issued by a federal judge as established in Article 3 of the United States Constitution, or a federal magistrate judge, or a judge or magistrate of a court of competent jurisdiction. This does not include an administrative warrant or any other document issued or signed by employees of the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of Justice relating solely to federal immigration law. Confidential information. Any information obtained and/or maintained by OPD or other village department that has been deemed confidential by a federal or state statute, regulation, and/or relating to an individual's sexual orientation, status as a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault, status as a victim of a crime, status as a crime witness, or status as a recipient of public assistance. Non-public information. Information not readily accessible by search within the public domain and/or which requires access to government records not generally available for public review, including but not limited to an individual's home address, work address, email address, as to future release dates or income tax records. Section 2. Any service provided by any village department or employee shall be made available to all eligible individuals regardless of citizenship or immigration status. When assessing eligibility for or providing services or benefits, OPD and village department shall not inquire about or request proof of citizenship or immigration status unless the receipt of such services or benefits is contingent upon an individual's citizenship or immigration status, or when required by federal or state statute, regulation, or case law. When inquiry or request for proof regarding citizenship or immigration status is permitted under this section, such inquiry or request should be limited to that necessary to evaluate eligibility or comply with relevant law. Village resources shall not be used to create a registry of Ossining residents for the purpose of targeted immigration profiling on race, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, ethnicity, origin. Section 3. OPD and other village departments shall not inquire about or investigate the citizenship or immigration status or country of birth or place of birth of an individual unless required by federal or state statute, regulation, or case law, or permissible as determined in Section 2, or related to the investigation of a possible non-immigration related crime, or voluntary and informed consent has been obtained from the individual. Section 4. OPD and other village departments shall not threaten to contact federal immigration authorities or to transmit any information about an individual's citizenship or immigration status to federal immigration authorities. Section 5. OPD and other village departments shall not use village facilities, funds, personnel, or other resources for detecting or apprehending individuals based solely on their actual or suspected citizenship or immigration status. Section 6. OPD shall not stop, question, interrogate, investigate, or arrest an individual based upon any one or more of the following: actual or suspected citizenship or immigration status, actual or suspected country of birth, or existence of an administrative warrant or civil immigration detainer hold request in the individual's name. 7. OPD shall not communicate with federal immigration authorities about an individual unless required by federal or state statute, regulation, or case law, related to the investigation of a possible non-immigration related crime. There is probable cause to believe that an individual has illegally re-entered the country after a previous order of removal or return is defined by 8 U.S.C. United States Code, Section 1326, and the individual has been convicted at any time of a felony under New York State penal law or federal crime or crime under the law of another state, either of which would constitute a predicate felony conviction, or there is probable cause to believe that the individual has or is engaged in terrorist or criminal activity. Subsection A does not govern the sending or receiving of information regarding the citizenship or immigration status, lawful or unlawful, of any individual. Section 8. Nothing in this resolution prohibits any OPD or other village departments from sending to or receiving from any local, state, or federal agency, as required by 8 U.S.C. Section 1373, information regarding an individual's citizenship or immigration status. Section 9. OPD and other village agencies and employees shall not provide federal immigration authorities with access to any village equipment or area not available to the general public unless required by exigent circumstances. Section 10. OPD and other village departments and employees shall not delay an individual's release from custody because of any one or more of the following: individual's actual or suspected citizenship or immigration status, place of birth or country of birth, or a civil immigration detainer / hold request, or a request from federal immigration authorities for notification about transfer of, detention of, or interview of an individual. OPD shall not detain or transfer an individual based upon a civil immigration detainer, hold, or transfer request from federal immigration authorities unless accompanied by a judicial warrant. OPD shall utilize the same booking, processing, release, and transfer procedures, policies, and practices of that agency for all individuals, regardless of any individual's actual or suspected citizenship or immigration status, place of birth, or country of birth. Section 11. OPD shall not perform the duties of federal immigration authorities, engage in enforcement of federal immigration law, or accept requests by federal immigration authorities to assist in the enforcement of federal immigration laws. Section 12. OPD shall not use village facilities, funds, personnel, or other resources for the detention of individuals detained by federal immigration authorities solely based on an individual's immigration status or suspected immigration status. Section 13. OPD shall provide prompt written notice to the village board of any changes in policy or practice regarding interactions with federal immigration authorities relating to civil immigration matters. Within 30 days of its submission to the Board of Trustees, such notice shall be made available to the public on the village's official website and the village board website. OPD shall provide the procedures regarding implementation of this act to the village Board of Trustees or dissemination to the public. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'm going to just make a comment. This is a long resolution. Some resolutions come in all shapes and sizes. All five of us, have put a lot of work into this, have read this, and we recognize that's long, but there's a reason for it. And that is that much of this will be going to staff members. And so we do not want to leave staff members sort of up in the air with, does this qualify? What does it mean here? We put in definitions. It's unusually long, but we've looked at so many other resolutions from Irvington to we started the county one because they have their own state police. It is helpful to put it all in one so that the chief of police can take his pieces and make sure that his folks understand the details. So we're not leaving anyone sort of hanging out there to make decisions in such a sort of sensitive topic. And in the long run, while long, it's beneficial, I think, for those of you that are wondering why it is so detailed. And also, we have over 200 staff folks in addition to police. That also, it is helpful as we have learned over time. We had a policy from 2017. We've been ahead of the curve on this before. And it was a little general, so we wanted to be more specific. It'd still be changed, but this allows our employees to also know what they are supposed to do, what actions there. So village managers looked at it, corporation counsel, chief of police was very involved. The deputy mayor put a lot of this together and even more time than some of us, but it had all of our hands and minds went into this. I want to be very clear. Well, Stuart?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution approving, that's it. Thank you very much. Resolution approving 2025 cabaret license for Westchester Collaborative Theater, 23 Water Street, Ossining, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of Ossining Code, the authorized representative from the Westchester Collaborative Theater, 23 Water Street, Ossining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk, the licensing officer, for a cabaret license. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on February 12th, 2025 work session, hearing from Captain Donahue and Corporation Counsel Kahan, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for 2025 for Westchester Collaborative Theater, 23 Water Street, Ossining, New York, for soft drinks, wine, and beer beverages to be served as follows. Days and hours, Friday and Saturday from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And let it be further resolved that the licensee shall obtain a license from the New York Liquor Authority permitting the on-premises sale of beer and wine. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments on this?
All in favor?
Aye.
2025 cabaret license for Up the River Restaurant, The Boathouse, 46 Westerly Road, Ossining, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of Ossining, of the Village of Ossining, the authorized representative from the business Up the River Restaurant, Inc., The Boathouse, 46 Westerly Road, Ossining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk as licensing officer for a cabaret license. Whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on February 12, 2025 work session, hearing from Captain Donahue and Corporation Counsel Kahan, and whereas the New York Liquor Authority issued licenses for the Boathouse for both interior and outside bars, allowing for on-premises sale of liquor, beer, wine, and cider. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for 2025 for Up the River Restaurants, Inc., The Boathouse as follows. Days and hours, Wednesdays through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m., Sunday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And the rest of the information about the music and everything is on the bulletin board at the clerk's office. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. 2025 cabaret license for Terrace, Terrace,
Tierras Tropicales.
thank you, restaurant. It's a tough one for me. 84 Croton Avenue, Austin, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Village of Austin Code, the authorized representative for the business Tierras Tropicales Restaurant, LLC, 84 Croton Avenue, Austin, New York, presented an application to the village clerk as licensing officer for the cabaret license, and whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application at the February 12, 2025 work session, hearing from Captain Donahue, Corporation Counsel Cahan, Claudio Casada, and James Timko Esquire. Now therefore be resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for Tierras Tropicalis Restaurant LLC as follows. Friday and Saturday, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And resolved that the license must comply with the supervisory plan submitted to the New York State Liquor Authority. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'm just going to make a comment on all of these. If you want more detail, we're going through this as we usually do now quickly, because last week in the work session, all of these details were discussed.
Right.
All of this was discussed in detail, including this particular one, where we went through explanations, questions, answers. So we don't want to be redundant, but it's all videotaped, and you can look at last week's meeting and get the details of those conversations if you're interested. Sue?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Proposed assessment, One Piping Rock Drive. Whereas Steve,
Before you do this,
Yes.
Stuart, all the codes refer to whereas pursuant to section 229-6 are exactly the same for every single one, right?
Yes.
Is there a way to just do the first paragraph and
Yes.
not read every single
that's
one
what
of
we're
these?
doing.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Proposed assessment, One Piping Rock Drive. Whereas Steve Hernandez and Adriana Camerno, I apologize for not pronouncing your name correctly, are the owners of the property at One Piping Rock Drive. And whereas the owners failed to timely remove snow and ice from the sidewalk along North Highland Avenue side of One Piping Rock Drive. And whereas pursuant with the section 229-6 of the code, the village arranged to have the snow and ice removed and salt applied. And whereas the snow and ice were removed and salt applied by Diego's Landscaping and Construction Corporation on January 29th, 2025 at the village's request. And whereas the owners were sent a notice of proposed assessment for the cost and notice of the hearing, noting that the total amount due is $600, consisting of an invoice of the work performed, $500, plus a 20% administration fee, $100. And whereas the hearing on February 19th, 2025, at the Board of Trustees discussed the assessment, and now therefore be it resolved that the itemized costs noted below are just and reasonable, and to be it further resolved that the amount so assessed is not paid in 30 days of the assessment, that this board of by this board, the village treasurer is directed to include the assessment on the next annual tax levy to be collected and enforced at the same manner as property taxes. Do I have a motion?
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're going to not read that section because that's the same in each one too, correct? Or is the price different?
No, the assessment number is different, but what I think we can do, folks, because the resolution itself is the same.
Right.
Essentially, what we can do is you can just basically read the resolved paragraph for each. What I would say is what we can do now is
Okay.
the remaining properties are 8, 11, 11A, 11B, 136.
But we're going to table 11B.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
then. So start again, Stuart.
Stuart, do me a favor, why don't, because you're so familiar, it might just be faster if you read them rather than Sue, because you know all the addresses and all the
Fair
assessments.
enough. Why don't I
Leaving
just-
11B to be
I'll go through it
tabled.
quickly.
Thank you.
What we're going to do it, folks, now is going to be proposed assessments. We're going to take resolutions H. Folks who are watching. Resolution H, Resolution I, Resolution J, Resolution L, and Resolution M. Those relate to properties at 8 Piping Rock Drive, 11 Piping Rock, 11A piping rock. 136-140 Croton Avenue and 325 North Highland Avenue. And with regard to all of those, the owners failed to timely remove snow and ice on the sidewalk. The village arranged to have snow and ice removed and salt applied. The snow and ice was removed and salt applied by Diego's Landscaping and Construction Corp. And the owners on each of those properties were sent notices of proposed assessment of costs and notices of hearing. And whereas at the hearing on February 19th, 2025, the Board of Trustees discussed the assessment, now therefore be it resolved that the itemized costs are just and reasonable, and further be resolved that if the amount so assessed is not paid within 30 days after the assessment by this board, the village treasurer is directed to include the assessment in the next annual tax levy to be collected and enforced in the same manner as property taxes for the aforementioned properties. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in
Comments?
favor?
Aye. Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Good. And
Losing
now,
rhythm. It's
and
not-
now we're going to go back to K, because the gentleman was here. K is the proposed assessment for 11B Piping Rock Road. Can I have a motion to table that one item?
Right.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. And just tell me who seconded the long list of them. Thank you. Yep, got it. Well, that got us moving along quite well. Okay. N. Authorize agreement with East Coast Service Group, Inc. Resolved that, we're on N. Resolved that following review of Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign the proposal for East Coast Service Group, Inc., 956 Washington Street, Peekskill, New York, 10566 for the following work: installation of 150 Category 6 cables in the Operations Center pursuant with project number 33540. Do I have a motion?
Move.
So is there a money amount or what are we doing here?
Yeah, if you open it up, it's, but I have a question. This is just cabling and supports and stuff when I'm looking at the purchase order. There's no
Yes.
equipment. We're reusing equipment.
Andy's on too, right?
I don't think this would be for Andy. This
Oh,
is
it's
really
not?
for an IT.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But the amount of the scope of work is $86,973.49.
Does that answer your question? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
It's,
I asked if this is just for cables or is there equipment included in here besides the normal, your wire mold and your straps and stuff like that. I don't see any equipment on here, connectors. and
just the
stuff.
wiring.
Just flat out for wiring,
And the labor, yeah,
$86,000
and the
for
labor.
wiring
And labor, she's,
and labor, yeah.
And just as a reminder, this was something that was
Else, we're-
approved
person
in
isn't
the
here. It's
2025
IT.
capital
Be here.
budget. Pardon me?
it's, what Trustee Fritchie's saying that when we have things like this, the IT person should be here because we can't really ask you guys questions. It seems, so like if it's an IT thing, the IT person's here. Like Paul shows up for his stuff and et cetera, et cetera. So it just would be a request, I think, that has been made in the past. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, this is the rewirings that we had discussed. I understand that the IT people aren't here and I can't answer super technical questions. about
Right.
this, But this was something that we discussed during the budget meetings. It is part of the approved capital budget for 2025, and we can certainly provide details to the board.
Right. So here's
Yeah,
the
I-
thing.
I-
If we
I-
could just,
Again,
I
don't-
got it, Bob, I got it. Here's the thing. Let's just get this done this way. When we do budgets, those are stakes. Those are like a GPS. And all we do every time we do the budgets, we're always told you could always change things, you could always approve not. The reason it has to come back to the board is if all it mattered was that we did the budget, we approved it, you wouldn't even have to come to us. When we do things like this, every once in a while, people do have a question, and I know it's annoying because somebody has to sit on this call for an hour and a half to answer a 2-minute question. I get that. But some of the stuff, unless you can actually predict all our questions. The reason they're on here is so that we ask questions. Otherwise, we're a bunch of rubber stamps, and I don't think we view ourselves that way. So just because I think, especially I think Bob has asked for this in the past, 'cause he likes to understand the detail. It's a fair question to ask that somebody who can answer the questions could say, this is what it's for. No, it doesn't include this. We don't include it because it's under a different line item. So it's hard to have a conversation and be asked to vote for something, I think is the point. I don't want to speak for you, but it's just
No,
that
no,
you've
it's
said it
just-
before so many times. that I
Right, it's
think I
just a
can
matter
say
of
it
having,
for
I
you.
don't expect the village manager or the assistant village manager to
Right.
answer the question, because I'm sure you weren't on the walkthrough, or maybe you were. You know, if the IT person was on the walkthrough, it'd just be nice to have someone stand here and go, maybe we don't have questions. I do. So I can read the purchase order. I know exactly what's going on. But for the people out in the audience, we're spending $86,000 to rewire something. That's not the problem. The problem is, let's explain it. That's all I'm asking for. So I'm okay with it. But I think moving forward, when we have things like this, we need to have that person here. If they gotta wait an hour, give us a 2-minute explanation, it is what it is.
You know, it would also be actually, when I'm thinking about it, it's hard for them also to read where we would be asking or not, although theoretically we should be asking on every single item here. There's an opportunity, so maybe the agendas go out like on Friday afternoon. Do me a favor, double check, and if you're gonna have questions, maybe just say, I want somebody there who has an expertise, because I'm gonna be asking questions, even if you don't know what your questions are. And that would at least help them to say, look, we'll text you, come on the Zoom when, the trustee might have a question. So I think that might actually be also helpful to folks to, can't always predict if we're gonna ask something or not. But theoretically, we should be asking on every single item here, to understand what we're saying yay or nay to. So we'll do that going forward. I mean, we're not, all right. So Bob, are there questions not here? Is there anything that's going to stop you
No.
from approving this based on this request or any questions? you
No,
have?
not at all.
Okay, so we're good on that. Just
Okay.
going forward, maybe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Did I, Bob?
I said aye.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Appointment of CPCRB Chair. Resolved that Michael Aurora is appointed to be the chairperson of the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board for a 1-year term commencing January 1, 2025, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees acknowledges and appreciates the service of CPCRB member Jennifer Cabrera, who served as the chairperson for the CPCRB during the past few years. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments, sir?
I want to start by thanking outgoing chair Jennifer Cabrera for her years of service on the CPCRB as chair. She will continue to serve on the board, but in a different capacity. The resolution, as we passed it originally, said that you can't serve for more than 2 terms consecutively as chair. So there's a natural opportunity for other folks to serve in leadership. Mike Aurora has done a wonderful job on the CPCRB, has raised his hand in wanting to take on this leadership position. After speaking to him and getting a sense of how he'd like to do that, I think that he would make a great fit. Spoke to the rest of the board. They were in agreement. And so eager to have Mr. Aurora serve in this capacity.
Wonderful.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Continuing business of the board, Climate Variability Assessment and Adaptation Plan, CVAAP. Madam Assistant Manager?
Continue.
Thank you. Village clerk. So we had briefly discussed this at the work session last week. This is basically an offshoot of CAPI, which was basically an analysis that we did in conjunction with Westchester County and several other municipalities in the county to sort of assess the village as a municipality and our operations, how we are contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and how we might stop contributing quite so much. The part B, how we might stop contributing quite so much, is what we're looking to in this document. So we had spoken late last year about some of the strategies we would be putting forth. now the document before the board for your approval, which we're hoping to have before the beginning of March, so ideally in a special meeting next week, if possible, is to approve the sort of roadmap that the town and village of Ossining are doing together. Basically, a couple different buckets of interventions, many of which we're already doing to some degree, that we feel, and again, by we, this is the town, village, volunteers from both environmental advisory committees and also Green Ossining will help us to achieve those goals. I know that I've gotten a little bit of feedback on for each documented intervention, how we can determine operating cost versus the cost of doing nothing effectively, and sort of being a little bit more clear with what we mean by low, medium, or high cost, as well as talking about the risk of not doing something or of doing it. So that's meaningful feedback that we've gotten so far. Also, I think I mentioned last week, we had 3 community members who put forth some pretty thoughtful comments just about the whole plan sort of in general, not really about the various interventions that we are collectively suggesting. There is ability to tweak this to some degree, but again, because it's a shared document, it's going to depend on the town to also agree to make those changes if it's not something that's a specifically village idea within the document. And it's been online for about a month, so that the community has had their chance to get a crack at it. Jamie, I know, has done a couple social media posts during that time. So happy to answer questions to the best of my ability on the document.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
I have none.
Matt?
I just want to say thank you. Quite a while to
Mike's too far from him, I think. There we go.
if you need me to talk to somebody in the town to help explain my points of view, happy to do that.
Thank you.
Folks on this side?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Dana?
Maddie.
Thank you. We're excited. And this is the culmination of a very, very, very long and very detail-oriented process, which has been driven by a couple people in particular. And the town has done a lot of the heavy lifting on this. So I want to say thank you to the town supervisor and her staff, as well as Kate Schlott in our village EAC, and also Susie Ross in Green Ossining for shepherding this process through and giving us a lot of things to look forward to in our green new year.
Thank you. I don't have any questions or comments, but I do appreciate, and I know it's done every once in a while for timelines you have to hit, so much appreciate the work.
We'll move on to a resolution of the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees in support of the New York State Pro Housing Community Initiative. Whereas the Village of Ossining here within local government believes that the lack of housing in New York residents of all ages and incomes negatively impacts the future of New York State's economic growth and community well-being. Whereas the housing crisis has negative effects on regional and local levels, we believe that every community must do their part to contribute to the housing growth and benefit from the positive impacts of healthy housing market brings to a community. And whereas we believe that supporting housing production of all kinds in our community will bring multiple benefits, including increasing housing access and choices for current and future residents, providing integrated accessibility housing options that meet the needs of people with sensory or mobility disabilities, bringing economic opportunities and vitality to our communities, and allowing workers at all levels to improve their quality of life through living closer to their employment opportunities. And whereas we believe that the evidence has shown that infill development that reduces squalor and supports walkable communities has significant environmental and public health benefits. And whereas we believe that affirmatively furthering fair housing and reducing segregation is not only required by law, but essential to keeping our community strong and vibrant. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Ossining, in order to take positive steps to alleviate the housing crisis, adopts the Pro-Housing Communities Pledge, which will help us endeavor and take following important steps: streamlining permitting for multifamily housing, affordable housing, accessible housing, accessory dwelling units, and supportive housing, adopting policies that affirmatively further fair housing, incorporating regional housing needs into planning decision, increasing development capacity for residential uses, enacting policies that encourage a broad range of housing development, including multi-family housing, affordable housing, accessible housing, accessory dwelling units, and supportive housing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments? I'll just make a couple of points here. This is a template that is being used throughout New York State. Lots of the housing issues are not Ossining specific. They are actually New York State. We are, in my opinion, the poster child for providing tremendous pipeline, especially given our topography and our size and mileage, 3.2 square miles, not a lot of land for 30,000 plus people. But we have done lots of housing, from market rate to affordable to mixed to everything, and continue to do so as appropriate. We will make our best effort, but there's also limits to how much we can do. So I am hopeful that many surrounding communities in Westchester, who in my personal opinion have not done their fair share, will also be stepping up and doing their fair share to provide all sorts of housing and all sorts of options for the residents of Westchester.
One question, the 5 bullet points, these are something that need to be worked on yet, correct? Adopting policies, or are we having policies thrown at us?
No, these are suggestions from the, it is the actual wording of the resolution that's required
Right.
to obtain, but their suggestions. So for adopting policies that affirmatively further fair housing, keep in mind, the Village of Ossining was one of the first communities to do affordable set aside. So it's written in a sense that I think a lot of things that we're doing would definitely fall under this, but there is no definitive metric. You must do this by this time. And we went over this really carefully with NICOM's lawyers too, because it doesn't necessarily commit us to doing anything other than what we're already doing, because we are absolutely following the intent of this resolution. But it is, so I can't think of, there isn't very much here that we're not already doing. Getting into the specificity of the types of housing and things like that. We certainly have, in doing our comprehensive plan, with the overlay zone, we're encouraging multifamily housing. We certainly have a lot of affordable housing in the pipeline. Accessible housing and accessory dwelling units are maybe sometimes a little bit more challenging in the village, but when it's new housing, certainly accessibility is a key consideration. As far as everything else, there really isn't anything that we aren't doing already. So I think this is pretty well covered. But again, this doesn't necessarily, there's no measurable deliverable associated with this.
And that, excuse me, and that goes as far as number 1, streamlining permitting.
To the degree that we can, anyone, and I would argue that some of our permitting processes get delayed at the state level, but the degree that we can streamline anything, that's certainly something that we've committed to in looking, updating our zoning codes, looking at ways we can facilitate more responsivity from our building department and making things, generally speaking, user-friendly. So again, I think when we're talking about streamlining and for permitting, we're doing those things, recognizing that there's still regulatory compliance that's mandated mostly by the state.
Right.
You have to comply with.
Okay, thank you.
And just for the public, just the way the other resolution about immigrants was really put together by the members of the board, this one was actually given to us, and it is for us to accept, reject, do other things with it, and we're going to do the vote based on the way this was written. But I think we're already doing, and streamlining is, in my opinion, we already are streamlining. It's not the way it's worded. I think, as the manager said, we're already doing a lot of these things. So, and we did get, I think, I sent you some of the also recommendation from NICOM, from their attorneys as well as ours. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. New business of the board, DPW authorization to advertise for bids. Contract DPW 2505 aqueduct water meter vault improvements. Resolved that subject to review of Corporation Council, the village clerk is authorized for bids for contract DPW 25-05 aqueduct meter vault improvements. Such bids would be returnable to the village clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
DPW authorization to advertise for bids. Contract DPW 2506, painting of the Lakeview water tank. Resolved that subject to review of Corporation Council, the village clerk is authorized to advertise for bids for contract DPW 2506, painting of the Lakeville water tank. Such bids are returnable to the village clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments? This was in the budget conversations, wasn't
Yeah.
particularly long, Karen? Long discussion on painting.
Yeah, and
I know
Andy is here
Andy's
too,
on,
so
but
yes,
all of these are in the budget discussions, right?
correct.
This is allowing us to go out to bid, though.
Yeah, this is
Correct.
just the bidding process.
Yeah.
I know Andy's on. It's,
We just like you to see his face.
yeah.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
DPW authorization to advertise for bids, materials, supplies, and services from 7/3/2025 to 7/2/2027. Resolved that subject to review of Corporation Council, the village clerk is authorized to advertise for bids in the following biannual material, supply, and service contracts for the period of 7/3/2025 to 7/2/2027. Such bids are returnable to the village clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's going to be a busy time.
Oh, every 2 years.
Yep. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
We don't have exec, correct? You don't have anything?
So moved.
Second?
Third.
All right, folks.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's 9:09. Wednesday, we will see everybody next Wednesday for business session. And thank you all for participating. And have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sandy.
Oh, yeah.
Got like 6
Thanks, Sandy. My little clipboard will do its.
Good night, everybody.